My name is Emily Carter. I am 33 years old. On paper, I am married. But in real life, I sleep alone every night. My husband works in Europe. People think I have a good life. They say, "You're lucky. He sends money. He's working hard for you." But they don't see my nights. They don't hear the silence. They don't feel the way I cry quietly after the kids fall asleep. Yes, I wear a ring. Yes, I have a husband. But I feel more alone than women who are truly single. When Michael first left for Europe, we promised to talk every day. At first we did. He told me about the new city, about his job, about how much he missed us. I believed him. I waited for his calls. I counted the hours. But slowly, the calls stopped. "Sorry, busy today," he would text. Then days would pass with nothing. I would send him pictures of the kids. He never replied. Just money in the bank and silence in my heart. At home, I had to do everything alone. Pay bills, clean the house, cook, work, and care for the children. Sometimes I was so tired I fell asleep with my shoes on. My body was always moving, but my heart felt heavy. There was no one to share my worries with. No one to ask if I was okay. I used to wait for Michael's voice. I used to check my phone at night. But now, I just turn off the light and close my eyes. It's easier not to hope. People say, "Stay strong, Emily." But they don't feel the cold side of the bed. They don't know how it feels to be forgotten. If you understand this kind of pain, maybe this story is also yours. You can follow or leave a comment. Sometimes, just knowing someone else understands can make us feel less alone. I work at an office in Austin 3 days a week. That is where I met Daniel. At first, he was just a kind face. He smiled when I walked in. He asked how my day was. One day, we sat together for coffee. I laughed at something he said. It was a soft laugh, but it felt big inside. I didn't remember the last time I laughed like that. Not at home. Not with Michael. Daniel noticed things. He saw when I cut my hair. He asked if I was tired when I had dark circles. He brought me tea without asking. He listened when I talked about work, about my kids. He looked at me like I was a person, not a machine. Michael never asked. Michael never looked. Daniel's kindness was small, but it filled the empty space in my heart. I told myself it was just friendship. That's all. But I waited for Daniel's smile. I liked when he sat near me. I liked the way he said my name. It felt good to be seen. It felt good to be more than just the woman who waits. One evening, we both stayed late at the office. The sky was dark outside. Most people had gone home. The room was quiet. We sat close, going over papers. Our hands touched for a moment. He didn't move. I didn't either. I looked at his hand on mine. It was warm. I felt something. Something I had not felt in years. I did not pull away. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed thinking about Michael. Not with love, not with pain, but with silence. I used to wait for him. I used to cry for him, but not anymore. I didn't want to wait forever. I didn't want to feel invisible anymore. The truth is, my marriage did not break when I touched Daniel's hand. It broke a long time ago when I stopped being someone Michael cared to call. The next morning, I looked at myself in the mirror. My face looked tired, but something in my eyes had changed. I did not feel guilty. I did not feel proud either. I just felt something new, something real. For a long time, I had felt like a shadow, a woman with no voice, no touch, no love. But now I had felt something warm again. I had felt seen. I told myself it was just a moment, just a small touch. But deep inside, I knew the truth. A door had opened, and I was not sure I wanted to close it. At work, I tried to act normal. I said good morning to everyone. I answered emails. I went to meetings. But inside, my heart was beating faster when I saw Daniel. He did not speak about the night before. He did not ask any questions. But when he passed my desk, he gave me a small smile. Not too long, not too soft, just enough to make me feel it again. That feeling of being noticed. And I smiled back. It was not planned. It was not smart. But it was honest. Later that day, I got a message from Michael. It had been 5 days since he last wrote. The message was short. Sent money. All good here. That was it. No, how are you? No, miss you. Just money and a few cold words. I stared at the screen for a minute. Then I turned off my phone. I felt nothing. No anger, no tears, just emptiness. A flat line where love used to be. I think that was the moment I truly let go. I was still married, yes, but my heart had already walked away. Daniel and I continued to talk at work. We laughed over small things. We shared coffee. We spoke about music, food, family. He told me he lived alone. No girlfriend, no kids, just quiet evenings and work. I did not tell him much about Michael. I did not know how to speak about a man who was both my husband and a stranger. It felt easier to talk about the kids, about daily life. Daniel never pushed. He just listened. And that was the part that touched me the most. He listened. He looked into my eyes. He made me feel like I mattered. One Friday evening, we both left the office at the same time. It was raining a little, and I forgot my umbrella. Daniel saw me standing at the door and said, "Come, I'll walk you to your car." We ran together under his jacket, laughing as the rain hit our feet. When we reached my car, I turned to thank him, but the words stayed in my mouth. His face was close. His eyes were kind. And then he kissed me. It was not fast. It was not wild. It was slow, soft, full of care. I closed my eyes. I did not think about Michael. I did not think about right or wrong. I just let the moment happen, because for once, I felt alive. When I got home, the kids were asleep. I sat on the couch in the dark. My hands were shaking, not from fear, not from shame, but from everything inside me that had been quiet for too long. I thought about the kiss. I thought about the silence from Europe. I thought about how I had waited for years for a husband who no longer saw me, and now I was finally seeing myself. I was more than just a mother, more than just someone waiting for phone calls that never came. I was a woman who still had feelings, needs, and dreams. The next day, I didn't speak to Daniel. I needed time to sit with my thoughts, time to feel all the feelings I had pushed away for so long. I took the kids to the park. I watched them laugh and run and chase each other, and I thought about what kind of life I wanted them to see. Did I want them to grow up thinking that love was only about duty? That a woman should stay silent and small just to keep a marriage alive? Or did I want them to see that love must be real, not just a title on paper? That night, I opened an old photo album. Pictures of Michael and me from our early days. Smiles, arms around each other, beach trips, birthdays. We looked happy back then. But even in those photos, I now saw something missing. I saw how much I had given and how little had come back. I saw my young face full of hope. I touched the photo and whispered, "You did your best." And I meant it. I had tried. I had waited. I had stayed loyal for years. But even love has limits when it grows cold for too long. I don't know what will happen next. I don't know if Daniel and I will become something more. But I do know one thing. That kiss did not break my marriage. My marriage was already broken. The kiss only showed me what I had been missing all these years. Warmth, attention, the feeling of being close to someone again. And maybe, just maybe, that's something I deserve. A few days passed. I kept things quiet. I needed space to breathe and think. I still saw Daniel at work, but we didn't talk much. We gave each other small smiles. It wasn't cold, just careful. I think we both knew something had changed between us. Something real had started, and we were both afraid to move too fast. I liked that he gave me time. He didn't ask questions. He didn't act different. He waited for me to feel ready, and that made me respect him even more. One night, I sat outside on the porch after putting the kids to bed. The stars were out. The air was cool. I closed my eyes and listened to the quiet. That kind of quiet used to hurt me. It used to feel heavy, like a weight on my chest. But now it felt softer. It was still lonely, but in a different way. Not empty, just quiet. My heart was not filled with waiting anymore. It was filled with questions, yes, but not pain. I was not crying. I was thinking. I was beginning to understand what I needed. The next morning, I found an old message on my phone. It was from Michael, sent 2 months ago. I had missed it. All it said was, "Hope everything is okay." That was it. No, "How are the kids?" No, "I miss you." I stared at that message for a while. 2 months late and 2 words cold. I felt nothing when I read it. No smile, no pain, just the simple truth. Michael and I were no longer connected. Maybe we lived under the same name, but we no longer lived in the same world. That week, I spent time with the kids. We baked cookies. We painted silly pictures. We watched cartoons and laughed at the same parts. I looked at them closely. I saw how big they were getting. My daughter's hair was long now. My son had a new smile with missing teeth. I felt proud, but I also felt sad. Michael was missing all of it. He didn't know how funny our daughter had become. He didn't know how brave our son was, and I didn't feel like telling him. He never asked. On Friday, Daniel asked if I wanted to grab lunch together. I said yes. We went to a small place near the office. Nothing fancy, just warm food and soft music. We talked about normal things. He told me about his weekend plans. I told him about my daughter's school project. It felt easy. It felt safe. At one point, he looked at me and said, "You're smiling more these days." I looked at him and said, "Maybe I'm finally feeling like myself again." He didn't say anything back. He just reached for my hand. This time, I didn't pull away either. After lunch, we walked slowly back to work. I didn't care if people saw us. We didn't do anything wrong. We were 2 people walking, talking, sharing a quiet moment. But inside, I knew something big was happening. I was letting go of the past. I was stepping into something new. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew I was not afraid anymore. I had been afraid for years, afraid to speak, afraid to feel, afraid to want more. But now, I was starting to feel brave. That night, I wrote in my old journal. I had not opened it in a long time. I used to write when Michael first left. I used to write letters I never sent. Sad letters, angry letters, love letters. But this time, I wrote something else. I wrote, "I am ready to live again." And I meant it. I didn't know what that life would look like. I didn't have all the answers. But I was ready to stop waiting for someone who stopped choosing me. The next day, I cleaned the house. Not the normal quick clean, I cleaned the drawers, the closets, the boxes under the bed. I found things I had kept for too long. Old cards from Michael, clothes I never wore, notes I had written and forgotten. I took a deep breath and made a choice. I packed the things that no longer felt like mine. I put them in a box. I didn't cry. I didn't break. I just felt free. It was time to make space, not just in the house, but in my heart. Later that evening, Daniel called. He asked how I was feeling. I told him the truth. I said, better. Not perfect, but better. He said he was glad. He said he was proud of me. Then he asked something that surprised me. He said, "Can I come by tomorrow? Not for anything big, just to bring you something." I didn't ask what. I just said yes, because I wanted to see him. I wanted to share a piece of this new life with someone who helped me find it. That night, I fell asleep with a calm heart. For the first time in a long time, I was not dreaming of Europe. I was not hoping for messages. I was not replaying old fights or broken promises. I was thinking of the porch, the stars, the soft rain, the warm touch of a hand that asked nothing but gave everything. I knew the road ahead would not be easy, but I also knew I would not walk it alone. Not anymore. The next morning, I woke up early. The sky outside was soft with light clouds. It was a Sunday. The house was quiet. The kids were still asleep. I made myself a cup of coffee and stood near the window. I thought about Daniel. I thought about the message he sent. He said he wanted to come by and bring something. I didn't know what it was. I didn't care. I only knew that I wanted to see him. And this time, I felt ready. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel like I was doing something wrong. I felt calm. I felt sure. Later that morning, I cleaned up the living room a bit. Not because I had to, just because I wanted to. I put away toys, folded a blanket, opened the windows. Fresh air came in. It felt good. Light filled the room. I looked around the house and smiled. This place held many memories, some happy, some hard. But it was my home. It was where I had grown strong. I had cried here. I had laughed here. I had waited and hoped, and now I was beginning again here. Around noon, Daniel arrived. He knocked gently. I opened the door, and there he was, standing with a small brown paper bag in his hands. He smiled at me, and I smiled back. He looked a little shy, like he didn't want to push too much. He handed me the bag and said, "It's not much. Just something I thought you might like." I took the bag and opened it slowly. Inside was a soft yellow scarf. It was warm and simple, the kind you wear on cold days. "You once said your neck gets cold in the mornings," he said. I looked at the scarf, then at him. My eyes felt wet, but I didn't cry. "Thank you," I whispered. "No one has brought me something just for me in a long time." We sat on the porch and talked. The kids came out later and said hello. They liked Daniel. He made them laugh. He didn't try too hard. He was just kind the way he always was. We had lunch together. Nothing fancy, just sandwiches and fruit. It felt easy. It felt peaceful. I looked at him across the table and saw something in his eyes that I had not seen in a long time. Respect, care, maybe even love, but quiet and patient. Not fast, not loud, just real. After he left, I sat with the kids and watched a movie. But my mind was busy. I was thinking about my life. I was thinking about Michael. And I knew the time had come. I could not live in two worlds anymore. I could not be half here and half there. I had to speak the truth. I had to stop pretending everything was fine. That night, After the kids were asleep, I opened my laptop. I wrote Michael an email. I didn't shout. I didn't blame. I just told him the truth. I wrote, "Michael, I don't know where we went wrong. I don't know when we stopped talking, but I can't keep doing this. You are far away, and I don't feel like your wife anymore. I feel like someone you send money to. I don't feel like we are a family. I don't feel like I matter to you. And maybe that's not your fault. Maybe life just changed. But I can't keep waiting. I can't keep pretending. I need more. I need to feel alive again. I'm not writing to hurt you. I'm writing because I want to be honest. I hope you find peace in your life, but I am walking a different road now." I clicked send. My hands shook. My heart beat fast. But I did not cry. I did not break. I just felt light, like I had finally put down a heavy bag I had carried for too long. I didn't know how he would answer. I didn't even know if he would answer at all, but it didn't matter. I had said my truth, and that was enough for now. Days passed. Michael didn't reply, but I was not surprised. I was not hurt. I kept living. I went to work. I took care of the kids. I saw Daniel. Slowly, we started spending more time together. He never pushed. He always asked, "Is this okay? Do you want me to come over? Do you feel ready?" And I always answered from my heart. Sometimes yes, sometimes not yet. And he always respected that. One evening, Daniel and I were walking in the park with the kids. The sky was pink and gold. The air was cool. The kids ran ahead, laughing. Daniel and I walked slowly behind them. He looked at me and said, "You've changed, Emily." I smiled. "I feel different," I said. "Not because of you, because I finally remembered who I am." He touched my hand gently. "I didn't come to change you," he said. "I just wanted you to see yourself again." I stopped walking and looked at him. "Thank you," I said. "You helped me come back to life." That night, after the kids were in bed, I sat on the couch and looked through old pictures. Not the sad ones, just the ones that showed happy times. I kept some. I put others away. I was not trying to erase the past. I was just making space for the future. I wanted a life that was full of love, not just duty. I wanted to wake up and feel warm beside someone, not cold. I wanted to share small things, like coffee in the morning or a silly joke. I wanted to feel seen, touched, understood. And I knew now I didn't need to wait for that. I could choose it. Weeks turned into months. Michael finally replied. His message was long, full of questions and confusion. He asked why I didn't tell him sooner. He said he thought I was fine. He said he was busy trying to build a future. I read the message with a quiet heart. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I just felt done. I wrote back, short and kind. I told him I wished him well. I told him the kids were healthy and happy, and I said goodbye. The next morning, I went outside and sat in the sun. The light felt warm on my face. I thought about everything I had been through, the years of silence, the cold nights, the lonely mornings, but I also thought about the soft laughs, the yellow scarf, the new smile in my mirror, and I felt proud, not because my life was perfect, but because I had made a hard choice. I had chosen to live again, to love again, to feel again. Later that evening, Daniel came over. He brought books for the kids and flowers for me. We sat on the porch and watched the stars. He didn't say much. He didn't have to. His presence was enough. I leaned my head on his shoulder. He placed his hand over mine. No words were needed. In that moment, I was no longer starving. I was full of peace, full of love, full of life.